Welcome to Factorio Brave New World recap. My name is Niklaus and this is the fourth installment of our recap series. So if you are following this series on Twitch, over on my Twitch channel, Twitch TV/Niklaus, then you will see that I have not been able to keep up with these recaps. So, you know, I don't want to miss out. So even though it's a little behind, then I'm going to do these recaps and I'm going to just try to catch you all up on where we are in the current streaming situation. So we're going to start from this location. This is where we left off at the end of the third recap. Basically what we have at this point, we have a fully functional base. It's working, it's doing stuff, and that's kind of the main point. Of course, it's not doing very much and it's not doing anything very fast. And this is, in this phase, it's all about the red circuits. I can see green circuits are also doing not so great, but the most important thing is rockets are launching. We can see here how many have been launched. There have only been 3 products launched, 3 rockets launched. So that's not much, but this is where I will start transitioning to the sort of final mega base structure, and that's going to be the main point. Here we are, and now we have started on the first part of our sort of future megastructure. We did a very important vote that will influence the rest of the base in a very significant extent, and that's actually this part. It was decided that I will only have, or I'll use centralized smelters, because I never use centralized smelters normally, so it's an interesting challenge. Basically what this means is I will only have one location that does any and all copper smelting in the base, which is going to be terrifying to try to make that work. On top of that, I want this base to have dedicated train networks, which is going to be another gigantic challenge. But I think those two things combined is going to be presenting unique opportunities and also have some potential for, yeah, some things we haven't seen before. Basically what I mean by having isolated train networks is that, for example, here we have iron ore coming in, and the iron ore can only communicate from an iron ore loading station to an iron ore unloading station. Likewise, the established copper is loaded here. And if we look at the train, if we look at adding another one, it simply cannot go, under any circumstances, can go to any of the other stations. It can simply only go from the copper loading to the copper unloading. And here we can see the train actually doing just that. What this means is that there will be no congestion in the train network, because all it does is this one can only go back and forth. Likewise, we have just a single location here. It means that, first of all, it means an immense amount of extra infrastructure, because you can't just collide things, or you can't collapse things on the same train network. That means when you need to cross, well, they are allowed to cross, but they're not allowed to share the train tracks. Yes, share the tracks. That means the copper plate is going to be a separate network from the iron plate. We don't have an iron plate yet. But this one, the idea of this is, and I think I can visualize it with the blueprint by doing this. If I copy the whole damn thing, the whole thing is so orchestrated that it absolutely perfectly matches and tiles like this. So I can simply just tile additional of these, and then if I need 8 of these or 12 of these, then that's what I'm just gonna do. I'll expand a bit further once we have the next station up here on how I'm going to manage it. You can also see all the blinkiness is because we have decided to upgrade to blue belts on the bus, just to get some more throughputs on mainly the green lines, but just gaining a bit more throughput. Let's check the rocket launches. Only at 7 rocket launches. So, I mean, it's not going fast, but it's getting there. Let's jump forward in time. And here we are. We have now also started working on the iron. So we now both have a copper distributed facility as well as an iron distributed facility. We also have some artwork here in the background. You can see this. It forms a dragon curve. But I'm going to take that out at some point. Might put it back later, you know. I like the idea, but we just started it for fun, and then kind of it ran away with us. So the idea here is, and now we can explain sort of more in depth about the train station. You can see here that the iron stations, oh, just like that. We saw this iron station opening. This one closes when it's more than 60,000, which means the idea here is that all the stations will be closed. All of the, in this case, there's only one. All the iron ore locations will have trains fully loaded. And then once they open, they'll be sent in. This will unfortunately cause the, what is called the thundering herd problem, which means that if I have 10 iron ore locations available and they all have a train there, as soon as one station opens, all 10 of them will head to that station. That's just unfortunately how trains work in Factorio. It's such a shame. It should be, I don't know if it should be, but it would be nice if it was possible to, for one train to say, hey, I'm going to service this, I'm going to go there, and the other ones would just not deploy. But alas, that is not the case. So what I'm doing here is that the intention is all of these have the same name. So all iron just goes into whichever one is available. It goes up to a dedicated smelter, which goes into a dedicated train. So all the outbound trains, it's either 1, 2, 3, 7, or 8 trains, however many I think is necessary, will go from this iron smelter into, and in this case, I'm taking one for iron and another one for steel. The steel gets processed here. So for example, you can see, I'd really like this one to come in just about now. And that's going for the iron. This one is desperately trying to get, okay, it just needs to go to 32, which means it's going to come up soon enough. Let's actually do that one. And then we can see the train heading in. Come on, you can do it. You can do it. It would be nice if this one was just departing just as we were ready to see it. There we go. So that's how the trains work. Yeah, they actually leave when they're full. That's quite a surprise. And that goes into this location. It gets unloaded, it gets fed in here. Keep feeding this. I mean, even though it ran out, it's not really a big deal because we're not consuming the steel fast enough to be a problem at all. Anything else that we've done? Yes, the main part was expanding out here. This is where we get to sort of big expansion areas, and yeah, that's going to cost a lot of the credits for us to move on. Now let's jump forward in time for the last episode of the week we are summarizing here. Now, as you can see, the base has grown quite a bit, and we are starting on the next mega project. We still have down here the iron that we built last time, and the copper is still functioning. Only a few nuclear power plants, but it's still fine. Nothing else, nothing expanded out here. Putting a few more solar panels in. Also, by the way, should note the grid here has spread everywhere by now, except for sort of the legacy products, and that's also irrelevant to really update this, to be honest. But we're going to work on the new stuff. So this is the part that we're working on. We have built 8, and that's a lot. 8 stations inbound here for copper. They're going into, that's becoming 16 lanes of copper going up. 16 lanes of iron will come on the other side. It'll go into a mixer here. Is it a mixer? Yeah, let's call it a mixer. And that'll go into some dedicated lines. I can go to this setup here. This is what we built and designed, and it's pretty damn awesome. So 2 lanes of copper going in here, 2 lanes of iron going in here. They will not completely use 2 lanes of iron and copper. It'll use, if I recall correctly, 1.65 lanes of copper and 1.5 or 1.45 lanes of iron. So even though we have 16 lanes, it's not actually going to consume fully 60 lanes, which is good. It goes in here through this jumble thing and ends up on the outside as 2 fully compressed lanes of green circuits. That means what we're building up here will consume not quite 8 lanes, not quite 16, not quite 16 lanes of copper and iron, but it will output eventually out here maybe 16 full lanes of green circuits, and that's going to be glorious. That will really solve a lot of our green circuit build. You can also see how much we've expanded out here. This is a massive improvement in terms of expansion, and yeah, it's using our credits very efficiently in terms of just claiming more ground, always claiming more ground, and just just finding the most valuable place. This one is very valuable location because we can now get the iron here, help feeding it into this location, as well as this stone can be used for dedicated. I mean, I basically just want this to go away, but I can use this for dedicated landfill build, for example. That's gonna be it. That's the summary for that week. And I think that we have started sort of come into the core of this base with the dedicated train lines and the gradual expansion. The main problem and the main challenge is lack of space, both in terms of just actual space because of the constraint, the space constraint, but also in terms of just finding somewhere that is not overlapping with ore patches. That's actually a bit difficult. So that's why I want dedicated landfill, so we can start actually spreading into the lakes if we need it. Anyway, that was the update for this week on the recap. And if you want to follow this live, then head on over to Twitch over at twitch.tv/Nilaus. I am streaming this Tuesday, Thursday, and Sundays at 8 p.m. Central European time. So do head on over. It's really cool to see people migrating also from YouTube over to see the live interaction. If of course you are available at those times. The VODs are of course also available if you feel like that. And of course, now that I remember it, there will also be these weekly updates coming to the channel. Thank you for watching, and as always, stay effective.